On the afternoon of October 4th, 1992, the bustling atmosphere of Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam buzzed with activity as El Al Israel Airlines ELY Flight 1862 prepared for departure. A Boeing 747-200 freighter series airplane stood ready on the tarmac, its cargo loaded and its crew prepared for the journey ahead. With 3 crew members and a single non-revenue passenger on board, the aircraft was en route from John F. Kennedy International Airport in New York to Ben Gurion International Airport in Tel Aviv, with a scheduled stopover at Schiphol Airport for crew change and cargo processing. As the late afternoon sun cast a warm glow over the airport, Flight 1862 taxied onto the runway, poised for takeoff. The weather was clear, with dry conditions prevailing, and a routine maintenance check had been conducted, uncovering no significant defects. Less than 10 minutes after departing Schiphol Airport, at precisely 17:27:30 UTC and at an altitude of 6,500 feet, tragedy struck. The flight data recorder captured the chilling moment when the number 3 and 4 engines, along with their struts, detached from the aircraft. In the cockpit, the co-pilot's urgent voice crackled over the radio, transmitting a distress call. El Al 1862, Mayday, Mayday, we have an emergency. In a race against time, communication with Schiphol Air Traffic Control, ATC, ensued as the crew desperately sought permission to return to the airport. Despite being a mere 7 miles away, the aircraft remained too high, flying at an altitude of 5,000 feet to execute a direct approach. With guidance from ATC, the flight crew initiated a series of descending turns to intercept the final approach course. At 17:32, the crew relayed the dire situation to ATC. Engines number 3 and 4 are out, and we have problems with the flaps. The aircraft, now on a gradual descent, turned through a heading of 100 degrees, maintaining a course of 120 degrees. With the clock ticking and the situation escalating, El Al 1862 was cleared for the final approach at 17:33. Guided by ATC, the aircraft made a right turn to a heading of 270 degrees, aiming to intercept the final approach course. However, radar data revealed a delay in the aircraft's course correction. As the tense moments unfolded, it became evident that the aircraft was overshooting the localizer. ATC issued revised instructions, directing the crew to adjust the heading further to 290 degrees. Despite their best efforts, the crew grappled with control issues, a fact they relayed to ATC at 17:35. Within seconds, chaos engulfed the cockpit as audible warnings blared from the stick shaker and ground proximity warning systems. In a tragic turn of events, El Al 1862 hurtled toward an 11-story apartment building in the Bijlmermeer suburb of Amsterdam, approximately 13 kilometers east of Schiphol Airport. The impact was catastrophic, with the aircraft consumed by fire upon contact with the building, marking a devastating end to the flight and claiming the lives of all on board. This animation shows the flight path of LL Flight 1862 right before the accident. The number 3 engine strut separated from the right wing about 7 minutes after takeoff. The departing number 3 engine strut then struck and separated the number 4 engine strut from the airplane. The leading edge of the right wing also sustained substantial damage. This is the location where the number 3 and 4 engines landed. The flight crew made a mayday call and reported engine problems. Air traffic control instructed the flight crew to turn around for an emergency landing. Engine fire annunciations began in the cockpit. However, there was no evidence of actual engine fire on the right wing. Investigations have revealed that the fire warning was actually the result of cross sensor wires from the wing damage as a result of the engine strut separation. The flight crew was able to maintain control of the airplane for an extended period of time. The flight crew then experienced problems with the right wing leading edge flaps. However, The flight crew was still able to maintain control of the airplane for some time and distance. The flight crew experienced flight control problems when they attempted to extend the flaps to slow the airplane down for an emergency landing. As a significant portion of the right wing leading edge flaps was missing, and there was substantial damage to the hydraulic and pneumatic systems in the area, with an extension of the leading edge devices, a large lift asymmetry was experienced, and that led to a roll to the right that became uncontrollable. Airplane control was lost, leading to a crash into an 11-story apartment building in downtown Amsterdam. This view shows the right wing of a 747 airplane. The number 3 engine is inboard and the number 4 engine is outboard. After the mid-spar load paths, R3 and R4, and side link load path, R5, of the number 3. Engine strut failed. The engine strut became statically unstable and oscillated from side to side until the upper link, R1, and the diagonal brace, R2, failed. Following the failure of all the noted load paths, the number 3 engine strut separated from the right wing. The assumed in-flight engine strut separation scenario was that the separated No. 3 engine strut would travel forward and up, clearing the wing upper surface and thus causing minimal damage to the ring. The No. 3 engine strut separated from the right wing and caused severe damage to the leading edge flaps and systems. The departing number 3 engine strut traveled outboard and aft and struck the number 4 engine struts. The leading edge flapping and hydraulic system suffered further damage. With the damage, the leading edge flap and the hydraulic system, the flight crew was unable to control the airplane when they approached the runway for an emergency landing. The airplane rolled when they lowered the flaps. This animation shows the failure sequence of the number 3 engine strut to wing load pass prior to the separation. The strut is attached to the wing via 5 load pass, R1 through R5. The engine is attached to the struts at the forward and aft engine mounts. The strut is designed for controlled separation from the wing in case of an overload condition to prevent damage to the wing structure and systems. This is achieved by equipping each of the load paths with fuse pins. This view shows how the strut is attached to the wing in normal conditions. All 5 load paths, R1 through R5, are intact. This view shows that R3 failed and disconnected due to the failure of its fuse pin. The loads reacted by R3 are now redistributed to R4 and R5. R4 and R5 are overloaded as a result. This view shows that R4 and R5 failed and disconnected as a result of the overload. The loads reacted by R4 and R5 are now redistributed to R1 and R2. The strut is now statically unstable as side loads are not being reacted by R3, R4, and R5. R1 and R2 are overloaded as a result. This view shows that R1 and R2 failed and disconnected as a result of the overload. Subsequently, the engine strut departed the plane. In response to a series of alarming accidents involving 747 airplanes operated by various airlines, including El Al, China Air, Evergreen, and Air India, the manufacturer of the Boeing 747 aircraft embarked on a mission to enhance the safety of its fleet. At the heart of this effort was the development of a redesigned strut, a critical component connecting the engine to the aircraft's wing. With the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, mandating the retrofit of these improved struts on all 747 aircraft in 1995, the aviation industry witnessed a significant leap forward in safety standards. Thus, the 747 Strut Modification Program was born, a monumental undertaking requiring the installation of newly designed struts on every in-service 747 aircraft. The redesigned struts boasted a fail-safe design for all engine attachment points and exhibited remarkable damage tolerance, even in the event of a single strut-to-wing attachment failure. Though still incorporating structural fuse pins, these struts were now fortified to shield the wing tank from damage during ground impact, thereby mitigating risks associated with catastrophic failures. In the event of a complete failure of a single strut-to-wing attachment where no load transfer was feasible through the joint, the remaining intact structure bore the redistributed loads. Rigorous crack growth analyses were conducted to assess the integrity of the most critical remaining structure, with inspection intervals strategically determined to detect any emerging issues before they reach critical levels. The redesigned struts incorporated a host of enhancements aimed at bolstering load-carrying capabilities and fail-safety measures. From a more robust design for increased strength to the addition of dual-side links, from the replacement of aluminum mid-spar fittings with titanium counterparts to the integration of backup structures within the wing box. Each modification aimed to fortify the aircraft against potential vulnerabilities. Moreover, an extensive inspection program rooted in the principles of damage tolerance was implemented to ensure the continued airworthiness of the struts. This program addressed not only routine inspections, but also specific checks for struts subjected to hard landings, high drag situations, and turbulence exceedances. With corrosion resistance practices also factored into the equation, the redesigned struts represented a monumental leap forward in aviation safety standards, underscoring the industry's unwavering commitment to passenger safety and aircraft reliability.